Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. I'm excited to share one of my new favorite recipes with you here this morning. I even made a batch for breakfast. So, before we get started, for those of you who are not familiar with who I am, or if you're new to my community, my name is Jessica Melnick. I am a registered holistic nutritionist, the founder of the Happy Joints Arthritis Solutions Group and the Anti Arthritis Method. And I help both women and men with various forms of arthritis get back to living life the way they choose to, not the way that they have to. And one of the main ways that we do that is through our nutrition. And so, when you are starting off on a joint friendly eating plan, like the one I use with my clients in my program, there's going to be a few things maybe that you're not familiar with. And I want to kind of demystify some of these ingredients that you might want to try if you are on a joint friendly eating plan, to show you that they're really actually user friendly and it's not that hard to find them. And also to share some of the nutritional value that is in them as well. So today I'm going to share a recipe with you for cinnamon scones. I found this through a wonderful website called healthyhabitsreset.com. And I'll share the link for the recipe below this post so that you can check it out yourself and make them too if you wish. So I'm going to show you guys what they look like. I didn't make the icing as part of the recipe because I'm kind of lazy. And instead, I used the coconut butter that was called for in the icing, and I just melted some of that and put that on top of my scone for breakfast this morning. It's just a lot simpler. But if you want to, make them look pretty, if you're having company, like by all means, make the frosting. It's not hard to do. It was just one extra step, and I didn't feel like doing it today. So if you guys can see these, here's a few of these scones. I don't want to drop them. They turn out amazing. They are so delicious and part of what I would consider a really healthy, balanced breakfast. So because protein is super, super important to make sure that we're getting with all of our meals, I made sure that I had some really good quality collagen protein with some frozen berries in a smoothie this morning, in addition to having that scone, which is going to be high in really good resistant starch, which is a complex carbohydrate that the good bacteria in our guts feed off of. I'll talk about that in a minute. And a good source of some healthy fats as well in that scone. So I'm going to talk about some of the ingredients that might not be familiar with you that are found in this scone recipe. And the first one, the first main ingredient is what is called tiger nut flour. So for those of you who are not familiar with like grain-free and egg-free baking, tiger nut flour is actually not from a nut. Tiger nuts are actually small tubers, and they are, like I said, a great source of resistant starch, which is a complex carbohydrate that feeds the good bacteria in our gut. And we want that to happen because we want to make sure that there's always way more beneficial gut bacteria than negative bacteria in our gut. And tiger nuts is one of the ways that we can do that. They also are a really good source of fiber. So they're going to keep you full. They're going to keep your blood sugar stable as well. It's not hard to find tiger nut flour. Your local health food store may carry it, or you can ask them to bring it in. You can also go online. You can find it on places like Amazon, naturamarket.ca if you're in Canada, Thrive Market if you're in the US, or also another popular website is called shopaip.com that it can be found in the US as well. So it's not hard to find, and it is really user friendly. So another main ingredient that we have that is not maybe as mainstream as it could be, that you may not have used before, is called palm shortening. So palm shortening is actually made from palm oil, which is derived from the tropical palm tree, which is different from the coconut palm. So there's some similar characteristics between palm oil and coconut oil, but they are still different from a different tree. And palm oil, and it's not very common here in like North America, but it's actually the second most common cooking oil in the world, second to soybean oil, which is something we definitely want to avoid because it is usually highly sprayed, highly genetically modified, and very inflammatory. So palm oil and palm shortening is actually a really shelf stable oil with a high smoke point. So good for high heat cooking. And the difference between the palm oil and the palm shortening is that the palm shortening has had some of the unsaturated fats removed. So then you get that shortening like texture. So it would be similar to lard. It is really nice and thick and creamy, and it is soft at room temperature, but not liquid. And so that's where you get that really nice ability for it to be replaced as shortening or lard in recipes. Except the benefits of the palm shortening is it's not full of awful trans fats from industrial processing like a vegetable oil based shortening, which we absolutely want to avoid. Very, very inflammatory for us. So the thing with palm oil that you want to be careful with and palm shortening is that a lot of the standard processing for palm trees to get palm oil and palm shortening can destroy tropical forests and habitats of endangered species. So when you are shopping for palm oil or palm shortening, you want to make sure that it is ethically harvested and produced, and so that it does not have that environmental impact. So there's a lot of controversy around it. So you just want to make sure that the brand you choose is an ethical brand that is protecting the forests and not deforesting the habitats of endangered species and damaging the environment. Now, palm shortening is wonderful to use in place of butter and shortening in different baked goods, especially if you are sensitive to dairy and you can't have butter. This is a nice replacement in baked goods. It has a really smooth texture as well. It works great if you wanted to use it in frostings in place of butter as well. And it's also really good for deep fat frying if you want to treat yourself once in a while, because again, it has that really high smoke point. So it's good for really high heat cooking. And it also doesn't have those trans fats in it like typical frying processes create. Now, some of the health benefits of palm oils and palm shortening, and this sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy to me because I remember I grew up in the 90s where there was just the low fat craze. And so I grew up believing that fat was bad and everything had to be low fat. And yes, we were just taught that it clogs your arteries and it's hard on your heart. But actually, what we're finding out and what we have found out, is just not highly advertised, is that it's actually the sugars and the refined carbohydrates that are causing the heart issues, not the saturated fats. Of course, you want to make sure that you're eating good quality fats, which is a topic for another day. But good quality fats, in the case of palm oils or good quality palm oil and palm shortening, can be a part of a healthy diet, as well as being a beneficial healthy fat. So studies have actually shown that palm oil and palm shortening can lower your cholesterol levels and your triglycerides, which actually slows the progression of heart disease or can prevent it. So super, super important. It is also jam-packed with something called tocotrienols, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but it's a form of vitamin E that has potent antioxidant properties and can support healthy brain function as well. So this can have a lot of far-reaching benefits that may aid in everything from slowing down dementia to enhancing cognition. So not only is it good for your heart, it's good for your brain. And red palm oil is high in beneficial antioxidants and has been shown to reduce the inflammation and oxidative stress caused by free radicals. So that is actually amazing if you really think about it. Coming from something that most of us would have originally thought wouldn't be good for us, it actually is. And just a quick little debrief on what free radicals are for those of you who aren't familiar what that actually means. Free radicals are highly reactive compounds that form in your body as a result of factors like stress, poor diet, exposure to pollutants and pesticides, etc. They can build up in your body over time, which leads to oxidative stress, inflammation, hello, joint pain, cell damage, and even chronic disease. And antioxidants, on the other hand, are compounds that can neutralize these harmful free radicals to prevent damage to your cells. So again, palm oil, palm shortening, high in antioxidants. Go figure. Another thing you might not be super familiar with that is found in this recipe is something called coconut butter. So this is different than coconut oil. Coconut butter actually comes from the coconut meat. So essentially it's the ground up meat that makes like a nut butter like consistency. So it's nice and smooth and rich and creamy. And it's actually considered a superfood because it's considered a valuable source of both food and medicine in many cultures. And it has most of the same health benefiting qualities as coconut oil and even more so. And let's talk about some of these benefits. And then I'm going to tell you guys where to find coconut butter. Again, not hard to find. It might not be in a small local grocery store, but it's not hard to find. So one of the benefits of coconut butter is it can help aid in weight loss. So I know, again, it might seem strange that eating fat is going to help us lose weight, but it is possible if we are eating a healthy fat like a coconut butter. So we don't want to go crazy, and I don't want you to eat like, tons of like tablespoons and tablespoons of this every day. But having like maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons a day is going to be beneficial for you. And the reason that coconut butter is beneficial is that it's a medium chain fatty acid like coconut oil. And this type of fat gets burned for energy, unlike long chain fatty acids, which makes it quite a superfood. So it helps boost our metabolism, and that increases our calorie burn and our energy levels. So medium chain triglyceride fatty acids from coconut butter, coconut oil are actually very, very beneficial and can actually help boost our metabolism. Another wonderful thing about coconut butter is that it can help boost our immune system. It contains something called lauric acid, which again is another medium chain fatty acid, and it boosts our immunity. And so just to kind of give you another example of where lauric acid is also found in the diet is it's also found in breast milk. There's a large percentage of breast milk that has lauric acid. And this is super important because that lauric acid is what boosts the baby's immune system. And so eating foods with lauric acid helps us boost our immune systems as well. So pretty cool. It can also ward off viruses because it has a lot of antibacterial characteristics. So lauric acid is pretty special since it is known to treat viral infections such as the flu, the cold sores, bronchitis, yeast infections, candida overgrowth, ringworm, and more. So it's also an immune booster in addition to helping us boost our fat burning abilities as well. So two amazing things in this recipe that are really good for us that you might not be familiar with. And again, coconut butter is one of those things that your local health food store might stock it. I know mine does. I can also find it at some of my larger grocery stores that have a health food section. And you can also order it online from tons of different like health food websites. Again, Amazon is one of those things you can pretty much find everything on. And I just encourage you to look for an organic brand of coconut butter. There's several good brands out there. It's not an uncommon thing. And the only tip that I have for using it that makes it a lot easier is instead of like if you need to soften it or melt it, you just put the jar in a bowl full of really hot water, and then that's going to soften it up and make it easy to like make into a frosting or add it into your baked goods. You definitely don't want to microwave it. I have tried this. It is terrible. It burns in the microwave, even at low heats, and it kind of makes it this really awful, like chunky texture. So don't microwave it. I wouldn't recommend putting it on the stove either, unless you're really, really watching close and mixing it with other things. So again, I'm going to post this recipe below this post. There's going to be a link there so that you can try it out. It's delicious. It only took me about 20 minutes. Well, I shouldn't even say 20 minutes. It probably took me 5 minutes to throw the batter together and took 15 minutes to cook in the oven. And yeah, and then you've got scones. So it's really nice, especially if you're having, you just want something a little special for the weekend, or if you're having company. You can make them really quick. And once you have the ingredients on hand, it's just super easy to throw them together. So I hope you guys enjoy this recipe as much as I have. And I will see you again next Thursday with another recipe. Awesome. Have a good day, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.